G'day there ladies and gents of the internet, I am the Braveheart Aussie and welcome to a journey in world building. And thank you for joining me here today for the second episode of our three-part setting deep dive series into the Commonwealth of Falls Edge. In the last episode we explored the key facts and attributes of the Nihilist system. Today we're going to be examining the society and economy of Falls Edge, and in particular the two Trojan asteroid clusters as key Lagrange points at the planet of Iteru. These two clusters, called Hapy and Iteru, are comprised primarily of valuable mineral-laden asteroids, which formed the initial economic justification for the colonisation of the system. Unlike many of the other settings we've explored to date, Falls Edge is a reasonably recent colonisation location with a history dating back no more than a century. The cost of large-scale mass colonisation in the diaspora era is exorbitant, so settlements are typically small initiatives with limited budgets and often less than 1,000 people. Larger-scale colonisation attempts can only typically be progressed by parties with command of substantial economic resources. Therefore, the settlement of the Nihilist system commenced as a corporate mining operation funded by a conglomeration of corporate interests out of the Fringe World Alliance, Coton before the onset of the Hegemony War, the Copernican Resonance Collective, and the interests in the Tyson Sector Compact and several independent worlds. Many of these corporate investors still maintained commercial interests in the systems, including the Coalition, which maintains the finance system, although the colony has evolved over the past century to adopt a more traditional economic and governance structure. Initial economic activity was limited to asteroid mining and in situ-based mineral processing. The target market for these resources was the then booming Galadur hegemony economy. The export of this production, coupled with the need to service the burgeoning spaceborne population of the two asteroid clusters, attract a major concentration of both free flagger and coalition vessels. This also reflects the fact that Falls Edge is strategically located within the Uranus expanse. It is located between the Fringe World Alliance in the Remus sector, in the southwest quadrant of the diaspora, and that of the Galadur hegemony worlds, and the then independent Republic of Coton. This resulted in Falls Edge becoming something of a trade hub and a major stop in pan-diaspora travel. This concentration of vessels led to repair and later fabrication stations being constructed within both clusters, as well as in orbit around the shepherding gas giant of Iteru. Ship production in Falls Edge is now a notable contributor to diaspora-wide ship output, with pod retrofitting and custom ship assembly in major industries. This, coupled with the general independence of the Commonwealth within both the southwest and northwest quadrants of the diaspora, means that the local shipwrights generally have access to a wide range of diaspora-wide technologies and weapon systems, including those of both hegemony and compact. The presence of both free flagger and coalition merchant vessels also led to the establishment of a significant R&R economy, as crews of commercial and freighter vessels disembarked from their myriad journeys across the diaspora, with credits in hand eager to spend. A century after the establishment of the colony, the now Commonwealth of Falls Edge is home to 1.9 million residents, though upwards of 500,000 of these are out of system at any one point in time. This combination of population and transient visitors has helped to support a sophisticated series of space station and asteroid-based settlements and other forms of orbital settlement. Food production is generally taken care of through a combination of orbital greenhouses, particularly those located in orbit of Iteru, as well as artificial food production such as protein strips and carbo blocks. Food inputs are also significant, with both Vicinity and Samiyaji proving to be popular import destinations for successful merchants. Due to its corporate and commercial founding, as well as the high concentration of free flagger and coalition vessels, and the R&R nature of many of the stations, the Falls Edge economy has adopted something of a laissez-faire approach to economic regulation. While there are robust worker protections that have helped to maintain high levels of employment standards and pay rates that are above the dark diaspora's averages across the major world, social regulations are significantly pared back. This includes allowances for the use of a wide range of national and artificial recreational drugs, prostitution, organised gambling, and other activities that in some worlds would be regarded as more immoral. This has brought the Commonwealth of Falls Edge into conflict with the Tarvan Covenant. However, the proximity of the world to the Copernican Resonance Collective and the role that the latter adopts and a more individualist and localized approach to its moral definition means that the latter has a more significant presence across the two clusters. It helps also that the Copernican Resonance Collective was an initial investor in the commercialization of the Trojan asteroid clusters, as well as the fact that many of the Free Flagger and Coalition vessels that are based out of Falls Edge also regularly service and position themselves in the stations in orbit of the Copernican planet. For the first 60 years of settlement, Falls Edge was governed by two separately constituted companies, one for each of the two asteroid clusters. Headquarters on each of the companies were registered in the respective dominant dwarf planets in each of the cluster, Aegyptus in the Hapy cluster and Danaus in the Iteru cluster. This corporate registration resulted in both of these dwarf planets evolving into the respective capitals of the two asteroid clusters. Once the population of the clusters reached 1 million people, it was agreed under the original settlement constitution that both would be afforded the opportunity to vote in a civilian government. The referendum was held across both clusters and identified a 2/3 majority in favour of the establishment of a single government across the entire system. As such, a representative Commonwealth was established approximately 40 years prior to the time of the Dark Diaspora. Each station and settlement within the cluster with a population of more than 10,000 people are able to send a proportional number of delegates to the whole of Commonwealth Chamber. Additionally, an executive representative from each of the two clusters is elected, who act as joint presidents of the Commonwealth, each having executive authority, but each having the ability also to veto the other's decisions. This model was designed to negate the impact of the majority of the population within the system being located within the Hapy cluster, as well as help to offset any lingering resentment in the Iteru cluster due to the fact that there was a higher proportion of latent separatist vote share within the initial referendum. However, at the time of the Dark Diaspora, there is no indication of any continuing separatist activities, apart from a vigorous cluster-focused political culture. The naming conventions adopted for the system were that of ancient Egyptian. As such, the system has attracted a sizable share of the diaspora's population with Egyptian ancestry. However, the overall population within the clusters is broadly multicultural in nature, as most of the ship crews and local populations have emerged together to create something of a cultural melting pot, with a strong focus on mercantile commerce, trade, entrepreneurship, and a communalist-style prosperity-focused politics. Despite broadly similar cultural and economic characteristics between the two clusters, there is something of a healthy rivalry between them. Individuals typically identify themselves as either Hapians or Iteruvians, rather than as citizens of Falls Edge, unless they are outside of the system. This has led to a range of inter-cluster sporting and other competitive endeavours, including a sub-FTL astrojet race known as the Iteru Loop. The establishment of the Commonwealth of Falls Edge also saw the adoption of a proactive and aggressive economic development program. A myriad of additional industries and sectors have been established by successive Commonwealth governments. This includes the vast shipbreaking yards within the Iteru cluster, the largest of which is managed by the 50,000 person strong Osiris station. Retired and decommissioned ships are brought to the shipbreaking yards once Iteru has passed its perigee, and remain in the yard for 4 months, during which time they are stripped of parts and on-sold by a myriad of independent scrappers, as well as base material recovery crews. As the cluster approaches the star once again, all but the most massive, the Hulks, are drawn out of the Lagrange point by the gravity of the sun and plunge into the chronosphere of Nihilus. Another example is the atmospheric extraction diver stations that have been established in orbit of Acheron to mine the atmosphere of the planet for concentrations of helium-3, deuterium, and tritium. These substances form the basis of fuel stocks for spacecraft, as well as for station fusion. This operation involves small craft with large cone-like filters that plunge into the atmosphere at a rapidly rate to collect and compress the gases before activating their anti-gravity fields and rising back to the surface. This process has been known colloquially as cloud bobbing, and manning a bobbing ship is something of a rite of passage for younger residents seeking a spaceborne life. Given Acheron's highly elliptical orbit, the two clusters of the planet come in close proximity to the star before returning outwards towards its apogee. This happens at different times for Hapy, which is leading the planet by 1 month, and Iteru, which is trailing the planet by a month. In all cases, All spaceborne industry activity is therefore concentrated within a 4 to 5 month period of every 6 month standard year of the orbit. Spaceborne industries and even localized space travel is typically offline for a period of up to 8 standard weeks in each of the 3 areas, during which the time many of the workers have extended leave. This has reinforced the demand for R&R style services and activities, with parties, dining, gathering and celebrations commonly held during the perigee. Crime in the Falls Edge cluster is broadly low, in part due to the deregulated and legalized nature of much of the surface economy. That which does exist is principally organised and focused around loan sharking and contraband smuggling, which are consistently ignored by authorities. More systemic issues such as protection rackets or corruption are, however, dealt with harshly by local authorities. Anytime criminal activity goes beyond personal choice and threatens the wider society or economy, then the response from the government is typically harsh. Contract and gig employment is very common, particularly among groups that work in scavenging and salvaging R&R services and transport. Despite this, more traditional commercial employment with major mining and processing companies is also common, with the entrepreneurial nature of the populace meaning that side hustles are almost the norm. The Commonwealth of Falls Edge does not maintain its own military. However, it does regularly engage free flagger vessels for anti-piracy and security operations. Both asteroid clusters, as well as the planet, have extensive networks of spaceborne and orbital defense platforms, as well as automated mine and even mass accelerator systems. At the time of the Dark Diaspora, there have been no attempts by any power to invade and capture the system. The benefits of the system, of its independence, are shared by all parties involved. Additionally, the dependence of pan-diaspora trade on Falls Edge means that any attack on the system would likely guarantee an extensive pan-diaspora response. These two factors guarantee that no group would dare attack the Commonwealth directly. And that is where we're going to be leaving it today, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you go and hit the like button, subscribe, and also get notified by hitting the bell of when new episodes are going to drop. Make sure you also go and comment in the section below, and check out the link to my Discord channel, where we're hoping to build something of an interactive community where we can discuss sci-fi and world building issues, as well as other matters which are of fun and interest to the community as a whole. I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm enjoying this phase of the world building project, and we have so many more settings and factions to explore. So if you'd like me to look at any particular ideas, concepts, or factions in the Dark Diaspora in a future video or series, let me know in a comment below. But that is it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and may the journey continue.